Cheats here at Fly Fish Food. We have skill builder number 9. We're going to talk about why I always cut off the corner of the bag of my dubbing. We're going to talk about a clump dub technique that I use sometimes. It's a really cool one. And then finally how to make a soft hackle collar out of squirrel. That's must-see TV. It'll make your Euro nymphs way better.
That's a big brown throw.
Dubbing bags. If you've watched me tie, you see that I have the corner cut off of the bag of dubbing quite a bit. And there's a reason for that. I tie with a lot of dubbing loops, and it's just an easier way to get a good amount of dubbing on your finger. Okay, so if you open the top of the bag, you're going to open this up and you're going to try to farm out some dubbing, and these fibers are going every which direction. Okay, and so if you start dubbing that on your thread, it might be, might not be as smooth. So what I do is I cut off a corner of the bag, and you can kind of do this, mash your fingers forward, and I used ice dub on purpose because it's the most pain in the butt dubbing there is. Okay, so if I just pinch the bag like this and I pull some of the fibers through, it's going to align those pretty much all in the same direction. It's going to be a lot easier for me to dub. It shows it a lot better on a product like the silver ice dub. Like a lot of the metallic ice dubs, they're very straight fibers. So here's the difference. So I'm going to take some out of the bag right here, and it looks like that. Okay, if I were putting that in a dubbing loop, I'd maybe want it a little more tidy. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to start grabbing these off the corner of the bag. So as you can see, if I hold those in my hand, they're all going to be facing roughly the same direction. So if you take one pinch at a time, or one or two or whatever, take that, put that in your dubbing loop, you're going to be able to build your dubbing loop with fibers that have a lot less of the junk that's crossed up, and meaning that you're going to have a lot more usable dubbing in your dubbing loops, and your core is going to be a lot thinner, which makes it also easier to wrap. Same thing with bruiser blend. I make a lot of minnow heads. As you can see, it's a longer stringier dubbing, so if I pinch it back here, this stuff comes out really nice and straight, and then I can take it in my fingers, lay it flat, create the baby fat minnow or low fat minnow head. So there you have it. That's my favorite way for managing dubbing, is to cut the corner off the bag so that you can pull it out nice and aligned. Okay, this is a really cool technique. Say you had to tie a whole bunch of leeches or buggers in short time, or you wanted to tie a veil in. I'm going to show you how to do a clump dub technique. So basically, you're going to take whatever dubbing you like. I got some voodoo streamer dub, or you can do semi-seal on this one. I like to cut the corner off the bag because the fibers come out nice and even, but I'm going to get about that much, and I'm just going to get it kind of laid out how I want it. Then I'm just going to tie it on the hook, do one loose wrap, and then just tie it down. It doesn't have to be pretty. You're just going to take the rest, not the bead, take the rest of it, and just wrap your thread right in the front. Okay, so it's going to look really bad until it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to do that again with another clump. That one I didn't tie in quite in the middle of the clump of dubbing, so I'm going to try to line that up better by doing this. Now I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of lay it on the hook, one loose, two loose wraps, and then tie it tight. Once you have that, pull everything back and just move your thread to the front of that one and push it back. And you get the picture. I think with 3 clumps we're going to have a full leech. This is for a very full-bodied leech, kind of like the leech's brig likes, So final one, I'm going to take this and go right around the bead, and I'm just going to do two wraps, and then I'm going to pull my thread forward toward the bead on the last one, kind of push everything around, whip finish that bad boy off, and brush that out however you want. Okay, so if we brush it the other way, you can see it looks pretty nasty, but the way that it's going to move in the water, and you can even incorporate like maybe some different sparkly thread in there, but that in the easiest way is the best way to do like a clump dub style leech. Okay, I am going to show you a really cool technique that you can do with, I like the Swiss clamp for it, but we're going to put a soft hackle on this fly, but we're going to do it out of squirrel. And there's a really cool way to manipulate the squirrel, and I'm hoping that you can see the line here. It looks pretty dang good. So I just put dubbing on a hook for just to show this technique. And I'm using orange thread just for visibility's sake, but it might be a cool fly that way anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a squirrel pelt. This is just a little chunk of squirrel fur. You could get like a full pelt. You could even use zonker strips for this, but I like to use the full pelt a little better. And the reason I like this tool is it's got a nice point to it. So to make a soft hackle on this, it's not going to use very much of this at all. So I'm just going to get a little bit of squirrel, and the way that I'm going to do that is instead of cutting it out and then putting it in here, I'm just going to use the tool to farm out some of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick the nose of that in there. See how that the point just kind of cuts right through there. Then I'll clamp it down, and then I can fold it over. Let's see. And here I can even pull that out and adjust the length. So let's say I want my loop to be about like that. Fine. I'm going to come in here. It's easier to do that when you're not having to film it. But anyway, I just made my cut here. You can see on the pelt I cut all the way down to the leather pretty much. And then before I put this in, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to make a cut just like that. With these Renomed scissors, you don't miss a beat. They're so sharp, they just cut right through, no effort. Once we have that made, I'm going to make a dubbing loop. Okay, so this is just 12/0. Some people say, why don't you use a split thread technique? The reason I don't like a split technique is let's say that I only want to use about 3/4 of what's in here, but I'm not sure. I'd rather have all of it in there, do 3 turns of this or whatever, and then realize I have too much, then I just tie it off and trim it off. When it's a split thread technique, whatever ends up in that loop goes on the fly. So I just prefer to use little dubbing loops. So I'm going to close off my dubbing loop by coming behind that, and now I'm ready to build this. All right, get your favorite dubbing twister. I'm using this one today, the CNF Design Top Twister. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to open up my loop and put the whole tool in. Okay? Then I can put that wherever I want. So I'm going to move that up right by the fly, put my finger on this portion of the tool, and just back it out till that thread hits my finger, and then I open it up. Important that your muscle memory tells you to open it up and keep it open until it's all the way over here. You'll for sure be pulling those out of there. All right. So here we have our loop. See how that's nice and aligned in there. I can actually take my finger and push against that and shorten it up if I want. I could spread it out, but that looks really good. This is the type of thing that goes viral on the Instagrams, so watch carefully. You're going to want to focus on this one. Okay, so once this is in here, you can see this is a lot of fiber on this. So a couple ways you can do it. I like to preen it to the side. As you can see, that's a very thin loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to moisten my fingers. I promise I'm not licking my fingers. There's just a tub of water up here by my face area. All right, so we'll just start wrapping that. I can already tell this is way too much for a little soft hackle, and it's going to want to just kind of twist however it wants. Okay, once I get here, moisten again. And with each turn, I'm just going to preen that back with my fingers. And let's do about 2 turns worth of that. Okay, this is the part where I like to have a loop and not a split thread, because now I can trim this off. And then move my thread to the front. So if you just take your scissors like this on a dubbing loop, open it up a little bit and just push it in there, it's going to just cut the thread and none of the fibers in the loop. So that works on leeches where you don't want to just chop it. It'll kind of create a bald spot. Just a few turns And honestly, I haven't done one of these for a long time. That's why I put too much in there. But the next time I'm going to know, only put about a fifth of what you used last time. Once I have that done, you can see I have this really cool soft hackle that's going to swim great in the water. It's going to be way more durable than a typical soft hackle. But anyway, if you like this skill builder or this set of skill builders, we do these every single week. So you got to go on there onto our YouTube channel and push subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll be able to see these every single week. We do 3 every week. And if you have suggestions, comments, concerns, please reach out. We're always listening and getting better ideas.